start speaking in Portuguese and in English, and I hope that everyone will understand what I say. So, as a little explain. Okay, better like this. So, as Pedro explained, I'm here. I'm Sophie Vallée-Chevillard from a French company called DIA, which is a consultancy company that supports innovation in various contexts and various scale, and mainly in the European scale. So I'm here as a coordinator of the Poverty Project, and I will present to you now the work we are doing in the Poverty Project, and mainly to benchmark the smart cities initiatives worldwide. So just few slides about poverty. I will not put a lot of time on this, as Gabriel already presented in Portuguese. So here you are the partners involved in the Poverty Project. It is a worldwide consortium with Brazilian partners, European, China and Africa partners. We are now in the second part of the poverty of the project time frame, as the project began in 2011 and will finish after the summer. Regarding the general approach of poverty, so you have also the same figure on the different material communication. So the main idea of the Poverty Project is to drive the R&D research results to the markets, and there are three main pillars that are driving the project, which is benchmarking activities. So to select, to give elements to select the best option for deploy IoT. The second one is about the roadmap, so how to identify the technologies and use case to work on. And the third one is about the interoperability and testing activities to ensure technology interoperability. So yeah, that's it. So what is poverty providing to the community? It's what we call now a tools kit, and we have three main kits in this three main tools in this kit. The first one is the roadmap. So it is to provide a guide for people who want to deploy IoT, to identify the main trends and what they could do with that, so to enable to deploy and to roll out IoT. The second one is about testing technologies and methodology to state and validate IoT interoperability. So this element is based on the fact that in the Poverty Project we are convinced that interoperability is a key factor to ensure sustainable deployment of IoT. And the tools here that we provide is well-suited testing tools and accurate test suits. And the third one, finally, is the benchmarking of IoT deployment, with the idea here to identify what are the best options, the good practices, but also the pitfalls that people that deploy currently IoT encounters, so that the entire community could benefit from this lesson. So we see the benchmarking framework as a decision tools for stakeholders involved in deploy IoT. So I will focus mainly on this part, and particularly on this application to the case of smart cities. So I will present the benchmarking framework we developed and the several steps that we have done to propose a benchmarking framework. And then I will focus my presentation about the stakeholders' feedback we had regarding this benchmarking framework. And finally, I will present the application of this benchmarking framework that is currently running on at least 10 deployments of smart cities or IoT deployments worldwide. So first, the development of benchmarking framework. So why developing a benchmarking framework and why provide a benchmarking tool? The first element that we have is that deploying IoT still encounters a lot of issues, both technical and not technical issues, and that is interesting for all of the stakeholders involved in this to learn from each other. So moving to larger scale requires a better understanding and assessment of actual benefits of IoT deployments. The first stage is that everybody is speaking about IoT, but few IoT deployments really exist, and we want to know why and how it will evolve. So our views of this benchmarking exercise is based on two main aspects. The first one is that the benchmark should answer the user's question. So the benchmarking framework we developed is really based on the users of the one who will use this benchmark needs and expectation. And the second one is that to provide direction for the development and use of benchmark, a clear benchmarking framework is needed to capture all the elements that we want to capture. Our vision of the benchmarking is based on two main pillars. The first one is to allow stakeholders to make their choice and to be able to compare, assess, and evaluate the actual benefit of IoT deployment. And this, whatever their application field and own characteristics, because IoT deployments could have specificities regarding the application or the nature of the deployment, but some of the characteristics, some of the elements are common of the IoT deployment, and some of good practice or pitfalls could be transferred to other deployments. And the second pillar is that we want to produce decision-making tools that is based on three different aspects. The first one is to produce judgment. That is an innovative way of this. It is to evaluate if the IoT deployment is doing what it's supposed to do. The second one is to identify the good practice related to the implementation. So to analyze if the IoT deployment is doing filling the objectives, the previous objective that he has. And the third one is a cognitive objective, that is to learn from others and not to repeat the same mistakes that were done or things like that. So finally, the process that we use to develop our benchmarking framework. So first of all, there will be a preparatory work with a state-of-the-art of the current IoT deployment and the analysis of other benchmarking experience. And finally, we propose to build our benchmarking framework on an analogy of a public policy model evaluation of public policy. I will present this just after. The second step was to design the benchmarking framework itself. So for that, we used the methodology that we defined just after, and we identify the different characteristics of the IoT deployment that should be taken into account to compare the different deployments. So I will present this in depth just after. And finally, the last stage is to apply the benchmarking framework itself and to compare and analyze the benchmarking framework. So, as you can see, there are several stakeholders' feedback requires, and we present this work several times during the several IoT conferences, and mainly in the IoT Week last year, when we organized a workshop to get the feedback of stakeholders on this. And we are now testing this benchmarking framework on real field. I will just present quickly the public policy evaluation model that we use to build the benchmarking framework, which is based on the fact that I will not present this in detail. If you have questions, I will respond just after. But the main aspect of this is that we identify needs and challenges, and we build a public policy in this case, but we could apply this to IoT to fill these needs and expectations. And finally, we evaluate the public policy with respect to their ability to fill these needs and challenges. That is the way the outcomes and impacts are correlated to these needs and expectations. So there are several ways to analyze if the public policy is well implemented, that is the relevance, the coherence, the effectiveness and efficiency. So this model fits quite well with the IoT, and we try to identify this. So if we take global needs and challenges of the society in the general, we could take, for an example, global warming or aging population. And if we transfer it into objective, it could be energy efficiency, smart health, or things like that. Into process and inputs, it could be a smart city deployment. The outputs expected are new usage, application and services used by citizens, and the outcome are new trends and manners, and impacts, expected impacts are changes in society to fix the global warming or aging population issues. So that is the starting point of our benchmarking framework. So now I will present the benchmarking framework itself. So first of all, we began to identify the different stakeholders that could be involved into the IoT deployment. We propose 4. The first one are, they are not hierarchical, identify 4 different kind of stakeholders. That could be policymakers, that could be a European Commission or city council that are implementing smart cities, something like that. The second one are technological providers, that is big industries, IBM, Cisco, innovative SMEs, but also we put in this category the researcher. The third one is the operator and service providers, that is the one who are providing services and application on IoT. And finally, the last one are the end users. There are citizens in the context of the smart cities. The second step was to identify the different dimensions that compose IoT deployment and are necessary to describe IoT deployment. And we identify 5 direct vertical dimensions and 2 horizontal dimensions. So the first one is an overview of the deployment to characterize the big dimension, that is the nature, the field application, and things like that. The second dimension is a technological one, and we identify 4 kinds of aspects with respect to the technological dimension, that are IoT infrastructure, IoT data, standard interoperability and testing, and finally IoT services and application. The third aspect to describe IoT deployment is economy and finance. And behind this, all aspects related to sharing of expenses, business model, and things like that. The next one is about legal and regulation. And finally, social and environmental dimension, and human factors. And regarding human factors, we put here all aspects related to the use and privacy of data with respect to the end user perspective, and things related to ethical. And the last aspect is about stakeholders' appreciation and the evaluation of the way the IoT deployment is filling its previous objectives. So here is the taxonomy we developed, and for each dimension we identify different items that I just give you little examples to characterize the IoT deployment. I just put here one example so you can see what we have produced, but for a detailed view of this business benchmarking framework, it would be very long to present here. You can go to the Propriety website where everything is online. So just to give you an example, here is the first level in each dimension, and all the different aspects we identify on each dimension. And I just put a zoom on IoT standard and interoperability about the level where we go to characterize IoT deployment. So if you have further questions, do not hesitate to go to the ProIT website and you can comment and give your feedback on this. Your feedback is welcome. So this was the first stage of the work in the ProIT project, and we tried to evaluate this benchmarking framework and to consult the community and the one who will use this benchmarking framework. So we ran a survey that was launched in February this year, with the objective to evaluate the self-positioning of the respondents against the different categories, to identify the questions that the stakeholders would like to get answers, and to weight their interest in the proposed dimension and associated metrics. So it is an exploratory survey, so it is not, does not look for statistical significance, and it is only to get feedbacks on the benchmarking framework. So we obtained 93 answers, and I will present you quickly what was the feedback of the community. So who answers to this survey? We can see here that our 4 categories of stakeholders are well represented. But one comment here is that in the other category appears researchers. That for our point of view, the researchers were included into technological providers, but the researchers themselves don't put them into this category. So maybe it could be clarified that the researcher are technological provider, or to provide a new category of stakeholders. But the other ones are the service providers, the policymakers, technological providers, and the users are well represented, and there are no one category that is overrepresented. So we asked them if they are currently involved into IoT project or deployment, and around 40% of them say that they are currently involved. And without a surprise, there are many technological providers or researchers that are involved into IoT deployment. So I didn't put the project in which they are involved on the side because it's too big, but what we see is that for half they are involved into European project, but for half they are industrial deployment on other initiatives. And we asked them about the stage of deployment, and what is nice to observe is that mainly the deployments are in planning are in experimenting or testing stage. Very few deployments are currently in production stage. So it's quite what we observe in real context when we spoke with person. Currently, IoT is not really in large scale deployed. And we asked them about the field of application, and the 3 main drivers are utilities, energy, and transportation. That is also the view that we could have by speaking with people.